to welcome all of you who showed up today in Boston, Massachusetts. Today we are handling a seminar on Polish citizenship. I'm going to be addressing all of your questions, and I will also give you a brief presentation about how to confirm your Polish citizenship and how to acquire your Polish passport. So I know you guys came here today with a lot of questions, so I'm going to be passing the notebook for you guys to put down all your questions in this notebook, and then once I finish with my presentation, then I will ask you to pass the notebook back to me and I will address all your questions. If we run out of time, I invite you all to stay after the seminar, and I will stay here, make sure that I spoke to each one of you personally, and make sure that I answered all your questions that I wasn't able to answer prior. So here's the notebook. If you could please pass it between each other, and I will start with the presentation. So let me tell you first a little bit about myself. My name is Agnieszka Piasecka, and I am an attorney in the United States, an immigration attorney practicing immigration law all over the United States. So basically I can help you with American and Polish immigration law all over. My main office is in Florida. I am licensed to practice also in Florida. However, the immigration law I can do anywhere. I have a lot of clients who come to me for Polish citizenship, and I can definitely help with that. I am an immigrant myself. I came to America in 2007 from Poland. I was born and raised in Poland, and I immigrated in 2007. I first got my green card, then US citizenship. Prior to coming to the US, I was a lawyer in Poland. Then, after coming here, I had to go to law school here in Florida, Stetson University, in order to be able to take the bar and practice law here. As you probably know or heard about it, the law in Poland is completely different than here in America. I have experience with helping clients confirm Polish citizenship for the purposes of obtaining Polish passport, so I can definitely help you with your application. So let's start with the description about different ways how to acquire Polish citizenship. It's different than in the United States because Polish citizenship is acquired mainly by blood, so by descent. Another way to acquire Polish citizenship, less common, is by birthplace in Poland. So that would be similar to the US. You can also acquire Polish citizenship by adoption, or you can petition to the President of Poland to obtain Polish citizenship. So the first three ways that I mentioned, by blood, by birthplace in Poland, and by adoption, those three ways are when you already are a Polish citizen and you just need to confirm your Polish citizenship. The fourth one, by petition to the President, that's for the people who do not have Polish citizenship and they want to acquire it. Like I said, the most common way by far to acquire Polish citizenship is by the right of blood. So in Latin we call it jus sanguinis. You are a Polish citizen if at least one of your parents was a Polish citizen at the time of your birth. It may be either your father, your mother, or even your grandparents. So that's the citizenship by descent. Another way would be through the birthplace. In Latin, the term would be jus soli. That's how they call it in Latin. That is only applied to the situations when a child is born in Poland and both parents are unknown or their citizenship is undefined at the time of birth. So that's less common. You can also acquire Polish citizenship through adoption. So to acquire Polish citizenship through adoption, you will have to be of age of 16 or less at the time of adoption. Once you're older than 16, you cannot acquire Polish citizenship based on adoption. And the last way that I mentioned would be by petition to the President of Poland. So if you're not already a citizen and you want to become a Polish citizen, you need to file a petition to the Polish President and you need to give the reasons why are you requesting Polish citizenship and why do you think you're entitled to get Polish citizenship. So let's talk a little bit more about different case scenarios. When would you apply for Polish citizenship versus when would you need to apply for naturalization? So the first case scenario would be a foreign-born national who has never lived in Poland, whose both parents are Polish citizenship. What does this person have to do? They need to confirm Polish citizenship. So they don't have to apply to the Polish President, they just have to file an application for confirmation of Polish citizenship and present proof that both parents were Polish citizens at the time of birth. Another case scenario, a foreign-born national who has never lived in Poland, but whose one parent is a Polish citizen. That person also, all they need to do is to confirm their Polish citizenship in order to receive their Polish passport. Another situation we have here is a foreign-born national who has never lived in Poland, whose both grandparents or great-grandparents were or are Polish citizens. Again, in this kind of situation, you don't need to file for a petition to the President, you just need to file a petition to confirm your Polish citizenship, and after you receive a positive decision, then you can apply for your Polish passport. Another very common situation that I see is a foreign-born national who has never lived in Poland, whose one grandparent or just one great-grandparent is or was a Polish citizen. Again, you can also, in this case scenario, apply for confirmation of your Polish citizenship. So you are already a Polish citizen. Another common case scenario would be when a person was born in Poland, but then moved abroad and no longer lives in Poland, and their both parents or one of their parents is a Polish citizen or were Polish citizens. In that case, the person is already a Polish citizen and they just need to confirm their Polish citizenship. Another situation, the person was born in Poland, no longer living in Poland, and their grandparents or great-grandparents were Polish citizens at the time of birth. Again, in this situation, they're applying for confirmation of Polish citizenship, and they need to prove that their predecessors held Polish citizenship at the time of birth. Another case scenario, a foreign-born national who was adopted by Polish citizens before he or she turned 16. Like I mentioned before, in this case, they need to file a petition for confirmation of their Polish citizenship. They acquired their Polish citizenship at the time of the adoption as long as they were 16 or younger. Another common situation, a person who was adopted by a Polish citizen or Polish citizens after he or she turned 16. In that case, that person is not a Polish citizen, so they need to file a petition to the president for naturalization. Another common scenario, there is a person who already knows that he or she is a Polish citizen, they no longer live in Poland, and they are in possession of an expired Polish passport. So this is tricky. Most people who have this situation don't even know that sometimes they have to first confirm their Polish citizenship before they can renew the passport. So if you already have a Polish passport, but it has expired many years ago, or if there's any doubt that in the meantime you between the date your passport expired and today, the date of application, if there's any doubt that you might have lost your Polish citizenship or it was taken away from you, they may require you to first confirm your Polish citizenship before you can apply for renewal of your Polish passport. Another situation I would like to discuss. We have a person who used to be a Polish citizen, but who officially renounced his or her Polish citizenship, or was stripped of his or her Polish citizenship by the Polish government. They have to apply for naturalization. So if they lost their Polish citizenship, they need to file to the president for naturalization. Another common situation I see in my practice is foreign-born nationals who have no Polish predecessors but are married to a Polish citizen, and they are inquiring if they could apply for Polish citizenship. So yes, they can, but that would go through the route of petition for naturalization, and that would be an equivalent to immigration to Poland. So they would have to, in their petition for naturalization, they would have to state the reasons why do they want to acquire a Polish passport, do they want to immigrate to Poland, do they have some merits. That would be based on merits and their individual situation. And that would also apply to people who just want to immigrate to Poland, who have no Polish predecessors, they are not married to a Polish citizen, they just want to immigrate to Poland. They will have to file to the Polish president for naturalization. And then I also have situations when there is a foreign-born national who thinks that some of their predecessors, very remote predecessors, were Polish, and they want to apply for confirmation of their Polish citizenship. However, they do not have any type of proof. They cannot establish that their predecessors were Polish citizens. This is a very tricky situation. In some cases, I can help them. I can apply to Polish government, to Polish vital records, and I can try to obtain some documents confirming that in fact their predecessors were Polish. And if they can at least provide me the names, the dates of birth, at least approximate, and some specific information about those predecessors, I can possibly help them obtain some documents, but it doesn't always work. So this is a little bit tricky. So in this case scenario, we have two options. We can try to obtain more documents and some documents and see, or they can file for naturalization if they cannot prove that their predecessors were Polish. So there may be also different case scenarios, there's a whole range of different situations. However, those case scenarios that I just listed, those would be like the most common ones that I see in my practice. And I have experience in handling those situations. So now let's talk a little bit about the steps which are required. What are the steps required to obtain a Polish passport? People usually ask me, how can I obtain my Polish passport? So we need to always start first with establishing, are they already a Polish citizen, or do they need to petition to the president for Polish citizenship? If they're already a Polish citizen, then the next question would be, have you ever held a Polish passport? If you had, is it valid or is it expired? If it has expired many years ago, you may need to confirm your Polish citizenship first before you can even apply for a Polish passport. So you would file an application for confirmation of Polish citizenship. The same would be if you never had a Polish passport, but your parents or your grandparents or great-grandparents are or were Polish citizens, then you would first have to apply for confirmation of Polish citizenship. At the same time or right after, you will also have to register your foreign birth certificate in Poland if you were born abroad. If you're not born in Poland, your foreign birth certificate needs to be translated and registered in Poland. If you're married, you have to register your marriage certificate in Poland. So that's done concurrently. If I handle the case, I usually do it concurrently, or you can do it after confirming your Polish citizenship, and that has to be done before you apply for your Polish passport. So those would be the two steps. Once you have a copy of a transcribed Polish birth certificate, and if you're married, a copy of a transcribed marriage certificate from Poland, so you would first register your foreign documents and receive them in a Polish version. It's called transcription. Once you also have a decision confirming that you are a Polish citizen, then you can apply to a consulate or to an embassy closest to you, or the most convenient one, for your Polish passport. And for a Polish passport, you have to apply in person. You have to apply in person because they will take your fingerprints at the time of your application each time. So even if you're renewing your Polish passport, you still have to apply in person. And there is a short application form that you will also have to fill out in Polish. So if you don't speak Polish, feel free to contact me, and I can help you with all those steps, because everything is done in a Polish language, and I speak Polish. I am fluent in Polish, so I can help you with all those steps. It's very bureaucratic. This process is not easy. It's tricky. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of very specific requirements. So I find most of my clients, especially the ones who don't speak Polish, who are not fluent in Polish, they're having troubles with this process. So that's why they hire me to handle everything. Even if you do speak Polish, if you do speak some Polish, but you may not be proficient in writing in Polish, that may be an obstacle to fill out that big amount of paperwork that you will have to handle. And then there are different documents that have to be sent to different places. You can either choose to do it through a Polish embassy or consulate, but then you have to check first, you have to establish which consulate or which embassy are you subject to based on your location. So for example, in Florida, where my main office is, people who live in Florida are subject to the Polish embassy in Washington, D.C. However, if you live in New York or New Jersey, you may be subject to New York consulates. Chicago has its own consulate, so people in Illinois would be subject to the consulate in Illinois, and so on. So you need to first check which consulate or which embassy you will be dealing with, and send your paperwork there, and they can help you. They can help you basically send it to Poland at a fee. The fee is about, I think it's about $100 or more, and that fee is basically taken just for them to send your paperwork to Poland. So sometimes you can skip that step and just file everything directly in Poland, and sometimes I find it easier to just deal directly with Polish government than to do it through the Polish consulate or Polish embassy. Sometimes it makes things more complicated and it costs more. So like I said, that would be your process, those 3 steps. You file the application for Polish citizenship, you register your vital statistics documents, and then you apply in person for your Polish passport. People often ask, how long does it take? Well, it depends. You know, there were times a few years ago when it was processed quickly, within a few months, but after COVID, things slowed down, and ever since, I haven't seen many cases that are processed faster than a year. So be prepared for 1 year, but you know, if you're lucky, it may be faster. If you're filing your paperwork in Poland, directly in Poland, again, that's tricky because you need to check which office you would be filing it. You will file it with voivodeship. So voivodeship of a jurisdiction which you are subject to, and as a general rule, people who have never lived in Poland would file with Mazovian voivodeship in Warsaw, but people who lived in Poland at some point of their life, they would file with the voivod, who is the closest to their last address, the last place, the last residence in Poland. The documents, the vital statistic documents that you would be registering in Poland, those would be filed with Polish vital statistics. So that's a separate office, and you can choose any vital statistics office in Poland to handle this. I think I pretty much covered like all the main basic information. I know you guys have a lot of questions, so I think we can just right now start maybe with your questions, and I will review what type of questions you have about this process, and maybe we can address them one by one. And like I said, if we run out of time, don't worry, I'm going to stay after and address each and every question. Thank you very much. Each and every question individually, or also if you have any personal questions. So let me see here, what do we have? Okay, so here's a general question. So basically this question, this person is asking me here how to assemble an application for confirmation of Polish citizenship. So there will be a form that you will have to fill out in Polish. that form, there is no official form. However, there's a template that the Polish Minister of Internal Affairs published for people to use. So you may be able to use that form or a similar form, fill it out in Polish, provide a lot of specifics, a lot of information, and attach all the relevant documents that go with that form. Another question, which documents I would have to attach? So you would need to, it's case specific, it depends. So you would need to see what documents you are in possession of. Anything that you have may help. Anything Polish that you have may help. So look for Polish IDs, Polish passports, even expired. Your Polish birth certificate, if you have one, if you were born in Poland. If you were born outside of Poland, then your foreign birth certificate, and obviously documents belonging to, Polish documents belonging to your parents or grandparents if you're basing your claim to be a Polish citizen on this by descent on your parents' citizenship or grandparents. You need to provide proof. All the documents that you will be providing, they need to be originals or certified copies, and they have to be translated to English by a sworn, licensed Polish translator. So I cannot tell you exactly which documents to attach because it all depends. Everybody has different documents. It's very broad, you know, they don't tell you exactly a specific list of documents, they give you examples of what could be attached. There are certain documents that are absolutely necessary and we cannot proceed without them, like for example your birth certificate. Regardless if you were born in Poland or in the United States, the Polish government will want to see your birth certificate. The same, they will want to see a notarized copy of your current ID. So it's going to be either your passport or your driver's license. That will have to be notarized, and you will also have to arrange for a apostille certificate in order to be able to use it in Poland. So if you are in doubt, you can always contact me and I can help you with your application, and that way I can determine which documents we can use and which we cannot use. Generally, we cannot use just regular photocopies. Everything needs to be either notarized or certified or originals. Someone's asking what is the difference between originals and certified copies. So basically it's the same thing. You know, original would be the documents they originally gave you. Like for example, if you get married, you would be issued an original marriage certificate. And if you want more duplicates, they would give you certified copies of the same marriage certificate. They have the same value. They mean basically the same thing for official purposes. So you can either present certified copies or official copies. A lot of people also confuse notarized with certified. What can be notarized? What can be certified? So as a general rule, you cannot notarize copies of officially issued documents, governmental documents, like for example, a marriage certificate, a divorce certificate, a birth certificate. You cannot notarize those documents because you can order them directly from the office, official office that issued them. Marriage certificate, clerk of court would be able to give you certified copies. Your birth certificate, you would apply to vital statistics. So those you cannot just go to a notary public and get a copy notarized. However, if you are obtaining copies of your passport, for example, then definitely you go to a notary. And a notary needs to know how to properly notarize, conform a copy with original. Not every notary, based on my experience, knows how to properly do it. So make sure that you go to a competent notary who will put a proper jurat, because you will need a proper jurat in order to obtain apostille. So as you see, it's a lot of steps, a lot of information. That's why I suggest you consult someone who has experience in that matter, who can help you with this process. Another question, someone's asking, where should I submit my application for confirmation? So we talked about it. I said before that you would either do it through a consulate, embassy. Here we are here in the US. So in the US you would do it with a consulate or Polish embassy. Here we're in Boston today, so I believe, I would have to double check that, but I believe Boston would be subject to New York consulate. But that would be something we would have to double check, so call the consulate in New York and make sure that as a resident of Boston that you can file there. Another way is to skip the embassy and consulate and submit it directly to Poland. And like I mentioned before, if you were born here, never lived in Poland, you submit it with the Office of Mazowian Voiewod in Warsaw. And if you lived in Poland, then you have to check which voiewod is appropriate, which voiewod has jurisdiction over your last place of residence. There's another thing that I need to mention here. Whenever you're applying for Polish citizenship or registering your vital statistics records in Poland, transcribing them to Polish, you will most likely need an agent for deliveries located in Poland, because a lot of Polish offices do not deliver documents to the US. So unless you're using the Polish embassy or consulate, and unless they tell you that they would help you with that, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're not able, they will tell you straight out, you need to have someone in Poland to receive your documents. So you will need to appoint a person in Poland and have them sign for them a specific document. It's called power of attorney for delivery purposes. In Polish we call it pełnomocnictwo do doręczeń. It's a very specific document just for deliveries. And you would appoint a person with a Polish address so they can receive all the correspondence and Polish documents and the decision for you in Poland. If you hire me to help you with this process, I have a person in Poland, I have agents who are able to receive the documents and pass them to me here in the US. Another question is, how do I apply for a Polish passport? So, like I said, you apply for a Polish passport at a consulate or embassy in person. Or you can travel to Poland and apply in Poland in an office, passport office. But it has to be done in person and you have to be fingerprinted in order to do that. Another good question here. This question is about Polish language test. Do I have to speak Polish in order to receive Polish citizenship? So luckily, no, there is no language requirement and no civics test for Polish citizenship. So you don't have to speak a word in Polish, and you also don't have to have any knowledge about Polish history and politics. So that would be completely different than in the US. In the US, you have to pass a civics test and language test. For Poland, you don't need that. You just need to have good reasons. If you're applying for naturalization, you need to be able to explain why you feel you're entitled to have a Polish citizenship, and then it's absolutely up to the president if they're going to grant it to you or not. How long does it take to obtain Polish citizenship? So there's a difference. You can either apply for Polish citizenship if you're not a Polish citizen already, and there is an unlimited time for the Polish president to consider your application. So you may be waiting a very long time, or it may be quick, depends on individual cases, case-to-case basis. There is no time limitations for the president to consider your request. If you're applying for a confirmation of Polish citizenship, technically Polish government has limited time to issue a decision on your application. However, I have never seen them actually complying with that limited time. In my years of experience, it's always taken longer than the time that they have a statutory time they have to issue this decision by. However, they also have a statutory power to just extend that date. So all they need to do is issue a letter that they're not going to issue the decision on time, and they're extending their time for another date, and they can continue doing it. Or they don't even issue such a letter, they just sit on it, and there's not much you can do. You would have to sue them, to make them issue the decision faster, and I'm not sure if that would help. That could even prolong it much. That could even delay it much further. So I usually just wait for them to process the application, and it's been my experience recently that you should be prepared for at least 1 year. However, I've had cases that moved faster, and my client would receive their confirmation of Polish citizenship within a few months. So it all depends. Another question I have here: how long do I have to wait for my Polish passport? So for a Polish passport, again, depends how you calculate that time. Is your question just about waiting for the Polish passport itself, or are you asking if the entire how long does the entire process take? So if you're required to first confirm your citizenship, then be prepared for at least 1 year for the decision. Once you obtain that decision, then, as I mentioned before, you also need to present to a Polish passport agency. You have to present a Polish birth certificate, and if you're married, Polish marriage certificate. So you will have to register those in Poland and transcribe them to Polish. And in order to apply for a Polish passport, you need to schedule an appointment with either the embassy or the consulate. So you need to, usually that's done online. So you need to go online and check their next availability. There were times during COVID when it was taking months to be able to schedule an appointment. But ever since things have sped up, and right now I don't think you have to wait that long. So it may be a matter of few weeks, to be able to get your appointment, or sometimes maybe even faster, and you need to show up in person and submit your application. And then your Polish passport, if everything goes well, if you brought all the documents with you that were required, then your Polish passport should be sent to you within a matter of few weeks at a maximum. Someone's asking if they can renew their Polish passport by mail. No, that cannot be done by mail. That has to be done in person always. So even if you already have a Polish passport, you still need to show up in person for another fingerprint requirement. I have here a question about PESEL. What is PESEL? So PESEL is a number. It's a personal identification number that is issued by Polish government to every Polish citizen. So PESEL is something relatively new. So people who have expired super old Polish passports from 80s or even farther back, they don't have a PESEL. Most likely they don't have the PESEL number and they will have to apply for one. And that can be done concurrently with applying for renewal of Polish passport. And this number will appear on your Polish IDs. So it will be listed on your Polish passport as well as your Polish ID. Oh, good question. Someone's asking, can I hold a dual citizenship? So keep your Polish citizenship, keep your American US citizenship, and in addition to that, have Polish citizenship? Yes, of course, you can have a dual citizenship. So in the United States, there is no restrictions, and also Poland does not prohibit you from having dual citizenship. So usually people who have dual citizenship, they have two passports. And you don't have to officially renounce your Polish citizenship to be a US citizen and vice versa. I think that would pretty much wrap it up for the questions and answers. I know that some of you raised their hand that they had some personal questions. So I think the best way to address those would be to stay over after the seminar. After we finish the seminar, I will be available. I will make myself available to each of you to come talk to me personally. You can always call me. My number is 813-786-3911. You can write it down, 813-786-3911. So if we don't manage to talk today for some reason, or you forget to ask me something, feel free to call me at this number, and I'll be happy to help you. Thank you so much for coming, for showing up today. I appreciate you guys coming here. It's been a pleasure holding this seminar for you, and I wish you a great day.